want to do a quick video on a fairly common problem with the Jeep Cherokees. This is a 2000 XJ, and this video is around the issue of oil pressure gauge. So as you can see, my pressure gauge I'm driving right now is fluctuating. It's below 40. Normal oil pressure should be between 13 and 60 psi, and operating right now while accelerating I'm running right around 40 psi, and I'm pretty much betting before this commute is over you'll see at idle, where it should be reading 13 psi, you'll see my engine oil pressure gauge bottom out and my check gauge's light will come on. So as you can see, I'm parked at a stoplight here, and I'm revving my engine, holding it at about 1500 RPMs, and as soon as I let off the gas, whereas my vehicle should idle at about 13 psi, you're going to see that needle slowly drop down and check gauge's light come on. So a lot of things can influence this, some of them bad and some of them not so bad. I am fairly confident that this is a fouled oil pressure sensor gauge, or oil pressure sending unit. I have a replacement here. It's a Duralast. Yes, a lot of people will say buy Mopar sensors only. This is part number PS401. And I'll show you later on how to replace that switch. This can be kind of concerning when you first see this happen. Again, a lot of things can influence this sort of activity. Some of them very bad, like a failed oil pump. Other things that can influence your activity of your sensor can be the viscosity of the oil you're using, outside air temperatures. As you can probably see on the frost on the hood, it's very cold today. I typically run 10W30. All right, so we're getting ready to replace this oil pressure sending unit. Things you're going to need are the obviously a replacement sensor. If you want some electrical cleaner, you're going to need a deep well 1 1/16 inch socket, pipe cleaner, some dielectric grease. Alternatively, from the socket, you could use box wrench or channel locks, whatever you prefer. And the oil pressure sending unit is located right above your oil filter being here, and the oil pressure sending unit being right here. So the first thing we're going to do is disconnect the electrical connector here from it. We're going to clean that connector off once we have it disconnected with some contact cleaner, put some dielectric grease on it, and then remove the sending unit, sorry about that, from right here. And what we're going to be doing with the pipe cleaner is there's a little port in there, and right where it goes into the block, we're going to clean that port out, make sure that nothing's gummed up in there. Alright, so to get the electrical connector off, you got to push the red tab down, squeeze on the back part here, and pull out. And you see all that oil that's in the connector there. That's why I'm going to clean that out. I'm going to spray that down with some electrical cleaner to clean that out. And I have my deep well on the actual sensor here. Box wrench will work, just takes a little more time. Once you get it loose, it'll turn out just as it did right there, and it's right in that port we're going to clean out with our pipe cleaner. You can see I've cleaned off the electrical connector now, and I have my pipe cleaner in here. Be careful, because you don't want to push any gunk in. You're just making sure that there's no buildup of sludge in this port. So I'm getting my pipe cleaner in there. It looks pretty good. I'm going to double it up now and put it in again. Just making sure that that port is cleared out of any gunk or sludge that's built up. That goes right into your oil filter adapters. and you can pull that whole thing off, the whole mount for that if you'd like, but no real need to for this. And I'm not pulling any sludge out really, so I definitely think it was the sensor itself. If you look at the sensor, you can see oil was built up in it. It doesn't really look too bad, but I'm going to go ahead and replace it. Hope it fixes the problem. The new sensor has some thread dope on it already. You could put some Teflon tape around that if you want. We're going to put it in. We're going to get it in there until it's snug in a couple turns, put our connector back on, and we should be good to go. Place, just remember when you're tightening it, don't over tighten it, and you want to tighten it so you can still access your connector. Put some dielectric grease in there, put my connector back on, snap that in place, and we're going to fire it up, make sure that we're getting a good reading on our oil pressure, and hopefully that will resolve the problem of the check gauges and the oil pressure bottoming out. Alright, so just started the engine up. We're idling just above 40 psi right now. Literally just started the engine 30 seconds ago, so at least we know that that sensor is working. We're going to monitor it to make sure that at idle we're getting the reading we want, which would be between 40 and 60 psi. Accelerating, so if I give it some gas here, you're going to see we're going up. And obviously the engine's not warmed up right now, but at idle what we'd like to see is that needle drop down to right around 13 psi and hold there. So the last thing I want to mention is that with that new oil pressure sensor, we're going to want to keep an eye right there on the where I threaded it in and right above on the oil filter adapter, just to make sure that we don't see any signs of leakage around there. We didn't put any Teflon tape on there, just use the pipe thread, the thread dope that was on there from the Duralast. So we'll see how this thing holds up, but I just wanted to give a quick video, show what that problem, one of the easiest fixes for that issue. Cost, I think, $40-50 for the sensor from, I think you can get them from Rock Auto a little bit cheaper. Again, up in the air about whether you have to always use a Mopar sensor or whether the cheapo sensors are reliable. But certainly it'll hold up for a while and let us know that we don't have a bigger issue. If we do experience the same issue, then we would another alternative would be to hook a mechanical pressure sensor up to see if we're getting proper readings using a mechanical gauge, and then after that we'd start diagnosing whether we actually have some internal engine issues. All right, thanks for watching.